What up, motherfuckers? Chris Holowicki coming at you with a new movie review. uh, Today I saw Marvel's Thor, Love and Thunder. And I took some notes while I was in the movie theater. And I guess I just figured that we can go over those. Now Thor, I was a big fan of Ragnarok. This one here, I didn't think it was quite as good, but there was a lot of fun to be had. I gotta turn off this music. I can't. Man. I have nothing prepared, so this is gonna be interesting. I did put up the poster on the Streamlab, so look at that. We're getting fancy. Um, yeah, I thought that Thor Love and Thunder was overall, I would say I liked it. I thought it was both fine and fun. It does have its problems, but overall, I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad, and probably in the upper echelon of Marvel films. But as I said, there are some problems with it. I think it goes a little too hard into the comedy, to the point where it kind of takes you out of some stuff. Also, it's got some of that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 vibe where the person making the film is so smitten with themselves that they think that their jokes are a lot funnier than they maybe actually are. And there were some reoccurring jokes in this Thor movie that it's like I didn't laugh the first time, and then it happens like some of them dozens of more times throughout the film. Excuse me. Here, let's take a look at what I have written down here, and things will come to me. I used my little, you know, the little, I have a Galaxy Note 9, so it has a little pen. So I bust it out in the movie theaters, and I'll be like taking my notes, bothering people next to me by causing a commotion. I didn't get a great seat this time because I waited too long to buy my ticket. Normally, I'll be all set in the theater. I'll be in the handicap row all the way to the end. And most of the time, I would say 80, 90% of the time, nobody with a wheelchair even shows up in that row. So I get a good spot right there, and I'm able to vape inside the theater without anyone noticing because there's a big wall right behind my back. So I could just do whatever I want and no one could see. um, but yeah, I waited too long to get a ticket, so I ended up seeing this in IMAX, regular 2D, and I was all the way literally in the far left seat of the top row. And that was fine, except for there was like a 14-year-old who was drinking an icy in my seat when I got there, and I was like, "Oh fuck, am I gonna get bullied out of this seat?" But luckily, he was with his family. He had a seat, and he just moved right away. I still wasn't happy about it, but it's not the worst thing that could have happened. And then so then I end up sitting next to his kid sister. I hate sitting next to people in the movie theater. I'm always pretty good about, even if I do have to sit next to someone, at least I have the best front row center. Like I'm far enough back where I could see the whole thing. I don't have to be like looking like this, and the sound will hit me perfect. I usually see it in Dolby. IMAX really isn't bringing it nowadays. Dolby Cinema is the best. How long did I just spitball right there? I think I went 3 minutes just improving. Look at that, no notes. All right, let's start from the beginning. Okay. Vape, beer, cheese, candy, Slim Jim. Nope, that's my grocery list. Uh, yes. Okay. So the movie kicks off with obviously like a big action sequence. If you remember at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok, they had that epic scene where he ends up fighting that fuck. I'm gonna sound like such a noob because I don't remember the names. I never read really Thor, but I love the movies. Um, where he chops off that guy's crown and then he's fighting a dragon and all that stuff at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok. So we have this big, hyped up, epic uh, battle with Thor where instead of Led Zeppelin, they played Guns N' Roses, which I would guess was a fuck ton cheaper for the studio. Um, obviously. And the scene is great. It's just a little too cartoony. Uh, Minor spoiler. If you guys remember, Jean-Claude Van Damme was in some commercial where he's like doing the splits in between two driving semis. They do a callback to that in this, and as I say, some of this humor just really doesn't work. Um, that was okay. It wasn't that bad, but they do call back to that, which seems kind of it really stuck out for a MCU flick, which is fine. I want these movies to really start going outside of the box because it's getting stale. Uh, but overall, a pretty satisfying opening action sequence, despite some of the action bordering on slapstick. Again, hit and miss jokes. It's really a shame how many misses to hits the jokes in this movie are, especially given the fact that Taika Waititi produces a show that I'm a big fan of right now called What We Do in the Shadows. And that show is just I'm like in the middle of season 2 right now, and it's seriously just like they're just going lines, very few groaners. I'm giggling throughout every episode of this show of What We Do in the Shadows. Check that out. It's on Hulu. Um, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't get to the point where it's being annoying, but it's just like, all right, come on, let's move along. I mean, to say, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I loved that movie, had sort of the same type of problem. Um, yeah. So then, at the top of the movie, we get excuse me, the villain introduction with Christian Bale, and he's another sympathetic villain. Not super familiar with him in the comics, except that he has a way cooler character design in the comic books than we end up seeing in the movie itself. But I really liked when he stumbles upon a god, like a god of light or something like that, and I sort of this like higher realm that's like not on Earth or on a regular plane or God, I'm fucking sound like an idiot right now. But there's a lot of cool creative stuff in this God scene, and it's probably better that I don't say too many spoilers. There's an interesting scene involving Christian Bale and some gods, or a god. Mhm. But yeah, he's another sympathetic villain. I still have to digest Christian Bale as a villain, but overall, I would say he was good, good performance. Um, so anyway, they introduce him. This guy is like killing gods or whatever. He's known as the God Butcher in the comic books and in the movie Gore the God Butcher. It was so funny in the ending credits of this film. The top three names were Thor, Chris Hemsworth, the Mighty Thor, Natalie Portman, and Gore, Christian Bale. And then Korg was a few names down there, who was played by Taika Waititi. So that was interesting. That was pretty funny, to me, I guess. But yeah, he ends up catching the attention of Thor because he's killing gods, and obviously Thor is the god of thunder, so eventually he's going to make his way down to him. And it leads to an action scene, New Asgard, which takes place, which is located on planet Earth now. If you hadn't watched the previous Marvel films, and it's kind of like an overly dark uh, fight in a little like town square, where it kind of reminded me of the first Suicide Squad movie, how every time they were fighting the masses of monsters or whatever, they turned down the lights a lot and they were basically all black muck. So I wasn't in love with that, but yeah, the first fight, and it was also the introduction of Natalie Portman as Thor. Was there not that good? I shouldn't be explaining the whole movie. Uh, Natalie Portman as Jane Foster in this movie. I don't know if I just need to rewatch Thor 1 and 2, but she seems like she's playing a completely different character in this movie. And it's actually not a bad thing because she's very likable. She's funny in it, and it's like a has an energy that I am not used to in when it comes to Natalie Portman. Over the years, I think of Natalie Portman as like a very serious actress in the role she takes. Like think about Black Swan and stuff. Maybe she gets a little silly in Your Highness, but I that movie was so bad I couldn't even pay attention to it. Uh, but yeah, I really liked Natalie Portman in this. They do this line where the movie starts. First of all, they have Lady Thor in it, which that's something that was introduced in the comics within the past 10 years. And I don't think it was altogether ill received when it first happened, but then the writers who wrote for Lady Thor were real cringe. So kind of like the Marvel fan base is not a huge fan of this version of Thor. But Natalie Portman is so likable in it that it didn't bother me at all. It was kind of like America Chavez in Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness. The girl who played America Chavez in the movie was great. I really liked her a lot. She was delightful. Natalie Portman, delightful in this movie. Their comic book counterparts, annoying as fuck, but they're just the victims of the hacks that write those comic books. But they do include some of this stuff that fans of the comic books were not happy when this happened. They say to Jane Foster, "You're a Thor," meaning that Thor is not Thor's name. Thor is just a title, which that was never the case until people got annoyed with the continuity breaking stuff about Jane Foster as Thor. So they've made that canon in the movie that Thor is not someone's name. They could have just said that you wield the power of Thor or you wield the power of Mjolnir. But yeah, they're poking the comic book fans a little bit with that because it seems like progressively including all the annoying things that Disney has put into Marvel comic books over the past, well, less than 10 years, like 5 to 10 years. Uh, they're starting to put those into the movies, so I'm sure some people are going to be annoyed about that. Um, oh, but and my next note is Jane is way less annoying. Yeah, she is way less annoying than her character in the comic books when she is Thor. Definitely. Next note is about how a specific reoccurring joke is was never funny, and you'll know it when you see it. I think I could make this a spoiler-free review. So let's go on. Natalie Portman's really fun in this. Uh, I would say, oh, I wrote a note. Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Lady Thor. The version of Captain Marvel we get in the movies is kind of the modern comics version. And if you look at the execution of that, I don't think that was very well received by the MCU fans, at least. Miss Marvel, I think the jury's still out on that. I tapped out after episode one on that show, but I think that the audience that it's directed for probably enjoys it a bit. And then we have Lady Thor, and I think that's the uh, best film adaptation. Oh, along with America Chavez of like the adapting these woke Marvel characters. Um, I noticed that they swear a lot in this. I clocked in them saying shit over 12 times, which it got to the point where I was just like, oh, okay, okay. Probably the most swearing of any MCU movie, I would say. They didn't say fuck. I don't know if they've ever said fuck in one of these movies, but they said shit like probably 15 plus times in this children's film. Um, Real hit and miss on the jokes, yes. Oh, I would say that the green screen and the visual effects, mwah, top notch. They go to they go and meet Zeus, who you see in the trailers, and his entire world, the whole city that they live in, it looks great. Yeah, I was seeing it in IMAX, but everything looked good. The green screen looked all keyed in correctly. No one, it all looked above average. There's definitely been Marvel movies where that stuff is look subpar or they didn't have the right people working on it. Everything looked very nice in this. Green screen, CGI backgrounds, everything. This is a minor spoiler. What's his face? Fuck. What's his name? The guy who plays Zeus. He, he throws on this Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe plays Zeus in this movie, and I didn't expect this. He throws on this really stereotypical thick Greek accent, and that had me cracking up the entire time that he was on that he was for the entire time he was on camera. And yeah, very good Russell Crowe. They get into a crazy battle in this god city. Valkyrie, or Jane Foster, and Thor. And Korg. They get into this brutal battle in this god city or whatever it is. And what they're doing, all these henchmen, these guards are coming up at them trying to take them out, and they're slashing them to pieces, stabbing them, and all this stuff. But the thing is that their blood is like gold. They all have golden blood. So this is the goriest scene of any MCU movie. It's more gory than Doctor Strange, and they got away with it because because all of these characters' blood is gold. It's not red. So it looked like Mortal Kombat. It looked like a round of or a compilation of Mortal Kombat super combos. Just imagine the blood being gold instead of red. I thought that was very cool. Uh, yeah, I would say that one thing when near the end of the movie, I'm like, the character design on Gore was a real missed opportunity, especially when you look at what he looks like in the comic books, because that character design is cool as fuck, and Gore in the movie is just, you've seen it 1,000 times. He looks like an extra from Mad Max Fury Road. It looks cheap. I don't know if it was Christian Bale didn't want to go through having to go through like, 10 hours of makeup, or whatever it takes. Or if, actors are vain, sometimes they don't want their faces too distorted. But it was basic. Christian Bale's like, okay, I'll show up. You could powder me white. You could tape on some scars on my face and on my back, and we could do this. So that's one thing I'd say they could have done a little better. Even though Christian Bale put out a great performance, they could have done better. Um, a couple times in the movie, I thought that an MCU movie was going to have some stakes and that someone was actually going to die and there's going to be some impact. But both times I was like, oh, I can't believe it. It's just like, okay. Um, oh, and reactionary geek tubers are going to be very upset that there was gay stuff in this movie. A couple throwaway lines about being gay. Uh, what's her face? Damn it, Valkyrie kissing a girl's hand, flirting with her. They'll be mad. But the funniest thing about that is, I think I saw Young Ripa post a video about how this is the gayest Marvel movie or whatever. Uh, I don't think he has seen it, and I don't think he's going to see it, but he's going to talk about how there was gay stuff in it and how that's a problem because reasons. So stupid. There's plenty of things to attack Disney Marvel for without being a reactionary. But yeah, Thor, Love and Thunder. Uh, I liked it. I didn't like as much as Thor Ragnarok. I like it better than the first two Thors. Uh, I would say that it lands lower than Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for me when it comes to the overall series and which movies I ended up really enjoying. But yeah, it ranks up there despite its few problems. But yeah, um, that's about it on that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Uh, if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bong for notifications. If you happen to be watching this on Twitch, please fucking follow me. I need people on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, fucking sub to me because I'm like 31 away from hitting 1,000. I've been doing this for like fucking almost 10 years. 10 years next year. Help me get to 1,000 before I've been doing this for a decade. God damn it. But yeah, um, until next time, everyone, I'm Chris Hallwicki, and that's why I drink. Night.